Well, there we go. We're live. Well,
Oh,
live for us. It's recorded for everyone else.
happy Sunday, boys.
What's up?
Yeah, happy Sunday, JT.
Martinez, can you hear us okay?
Loud and clear.
Oh,
Hey,
Josh said I was coming in a little hot. You think I'm
no,
coming
no,
in
no.
hot?
That's good. You're good. You're good. I mean, look, it's hot for me. It just be room temperature for everyone else.
Martinez, thank you for joining us on a Sunday and on short notice. I think you're going to be the perfect guest for today for a number of reasons, but also because we had Steph Bruce on the podcast last, and I think transitioning into your story and showing how powerful that is going to be this great like juxtaposition of running. It's like skinny little white Jewish girl, and then my beautiful black Martinez on just bookending the pack.
It's a hell of a weekend right there.
Okay, I'm
Hey,
rolling with it.
yeah, you got it. Wait,
Come
before
on.
we dive into it, quick little heads up for everybody who's just joined us for the first time. My name's Josh Muxon. I have been, I guess, very, very thankful to be the voice of Represent Running at the start and the finish line for, I guess, all the years, right? And now we're
Yeah,
Run
since the
Local,
beginning.
it's even better, right? So now
Right.
that we're Run Local, moving on into that, folks are going to be wondering, JT, tell us a little bit about Run Local and exactly what we're doing with the podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm the Run Local podcast, and I'm really looking forward to having Martinez on because I think you're going to be able to give us some feedback too. You've been podcasting longer than we have, so you're going to have to roll with the punches here. You're the pro, but another reason we wanted to have you on. But we want to invite guests all across the spectrum of events. So they're going to be runners, uh, entrepreneurs, local legends, and beyond. And I think I want to utilize the sport of running to tell stories about inspiration, motivation, overcoming things, exchanging almost value of how you bring your community together. And that could be your community, like your town, like the city of San Jose, or it can be your community of the people that are following you as well. And I think Run Local gets into those niche communities. So we can tell a story through running, but that goes way deeper into life beyond it. So running is a Run Local is a brand and a lifestyle. Beyond just getting out there and hitting the pavement. Like I think there's so much more. Um,
Yeah, well,
and what's
JT,
kind of cool, yeah, go ahead, Josh.
tell us one thing you got going on with Run Local, just like a snippet, little highlight, what's going on behind the curtain. I think folks really love to hear what's not necessarily what's in your head, but just what actually comes to fruition with all those ideas.
Yeah. Um, with Run Local right now, we're in a very unique time, right? Like we would be tone deaf to not say this is not a scary, weird time where we can't have our normal events. Like we have to recognize that this is strange, that the three of us can't be in a room together. That's even weirder, that we have to call in through virtual meetings. And I think what Run Local's going through is almost exciting in that we're finding a time and a way to connect to people, to runners, or to our community members in new ways. So one thing being this podcast is going to be episode 3. Really excited to have Martinez Evans on. Then we're going to have the Run Local Workout Wednesday starting on Wednesday. That's this Wednesday, hosted by Katie Gott. That's
Really?
going to be live workout, 9 a.m. Pacific time. She's going to be doing a workout for runners, so it's going to be pretty cool in that it's I don't know what this week's is, but you got to tune in. I think we have an email coming out about that soon. And then we just talked to Meb's people. So Meb's going to be on a webinar in the coming weeks, talking about getting through situations like this. Like Meb's family has been in some situations, if you know some of the story there. But I think he's gonna show how we can connect that back to our daily life, and Run Local being at the kind of the cog of all this, of just putting out this content digitally and really just throwing some energy out there. One more thing I got to talk about. We're going to have Jimmy Coleman starting a podcast. He is the voice of Nitro Circus. I know this doesn't feel like running, but Nitro Circus is like Travis Pastrana's big bikes, motocross, crazy jumps things. Jimmy Coleman is the voice behind that. He's like Josh Muxon, but actually talented and people know about him.
That's good. That's good. That's good. He probably
Yeah,
goes with the like the full on sugared energy drinks. Like
I
me,
think so. Yeah,
I go with like
He's
I
full
go with
monster.
light sugar, and that's probably my downfall right there. Like what I need to do is
Exactly.
just
So
turn that up a notch.
Jimmy Coleman's going to be coming on and starting a podcast called The Side Hustle, and he's going to be inviting different people from the event industry to just talk about event stories and what they're doing right now during Corona time. So
I'm curious, like, is there an E on that event story? You know, when it goes to publish.
lowercase
I know
e,
you've got
yeah,
some crazy ones out there. I'm
yeah.
looking forward to
Uh,
that.
I do have one more thing I want to do before we jump into with Martinez is thank all the sponsors that have been with us on the event side. So I think this podcast is a great way to show our appreciation for them, for the people that are turning in, and we are getting more and more listeners. So I want to thank Amazon, specifically Lab 126 down in San Jose. They're the ones who make the Kindle and the Fire and all those great products from Amazon, Alexa. And then also Zoom Communications stock is blowing up. It has nothing to do with their affiliation with us. It has everything to do with everyone going to video conferencing. But Zoom's been a big supporter of Run Local events for the last 2 years of our Shamrock Run. So thank you to the team over at Zoom. Sports Basement, shout to you. Thank you. One of my favorite stores. I go in Sports Basement and just buy everything because I like to do outdoor stuff. But they've been supporting us for years. And then UCAN Hydration, that is the on-course hydration, and now it's the in-studio hydration. I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I'm still
It'll
using it.
it'll it'll keep you hydrated during your online shopping. That's for
Exactly.
sure.
So that's with Amazon
You
only.
don't want to cramp
Um,
up during that. You got stuff in your cart. You're looking to push purchase. The last thing you want is like a big old forearm cramp. You can't hydration.
Right. So, Josh, I think we've taken this over enough from the sponsors to what's coming up in Run Local Lands. And you can find all of that out at runlocalevents.com. Uh, but I'm really excited that we have a guest on to basically break us up
Yeah,
from us
you and I
talking.
chatting.
He is looking fantastic, looking like he's in some studio in Midtown New York. He's got the microphone, the black headphones, some kind of hanging thing that Josh, we need the hanging thing with our microphones because now I'm stuck with this thing.
Yeah, mine's not even plugged in, to be honest. It's just here.
So I want to introduce our guest. We got Martinus Evans, hashtag slow AF, 300 pounds and running. This man has become a friend of mine over the last few years, and he's been a Run Local ambassador for the last 2 years. These are the people that go out and spread the Run Local love. And I can't wait for you to hear his story because I think I know a little bit more of his story than you do, Josh, and you're going to have some really cool questions.
Yeah.
But welcome to the Run Local podcast, episode 3. Martinez,
Run local. What's up?
what's up?
Usually we pause right now for just all the applause that goes on in the background. We'll edit that in later.
Martinez, we love
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Martinez, we to kick things off, one of the things that JT and I were talking about is we can do an intro, but we think that you can do it better. We would love to hear a little bit about your story, the highlight reel, what you're all about, all that good stuff. So we're going to turn it over to you. Tell us who you are, where you're from, where you're living right now, including the studio, and a little bit of background.
All right, how I like to start off is everything is good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone in the world. It's your boy Martinez Evans, aka 300 pounds and running.
Woo.
How I like to call myself is I'm a fat runner. Yes, you hear it, I'm fat, I'm a runner, and I'm proud to be that. I started running back in 2012. Oddly enough, I used to weigh somewhere near 400 pounds, 400 ish, 380, 360, somewhere around there. Every scale I got into contact with stopped working around like 350 pounds. So more than 300, less than 400, somewhere around there.
Yep.
And the reason I started running is I was working at Men's Warehouse at the time, and I felt a sharp pain in my hip. That led me to go to one doctor. That doctor led me to another one until I felt myself in front of an orthopedic surgeon. And he looked at me and he's like, Mr. Evans, I know why you're in pain. So I'm thinking it had to do something with me playing collegiate football. I played for collegiate football for about a year and a half, and I'm just beating up my body. And he's like, "Oh, you're fat." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You're fat." So we go in this argument. And he's like, "You fat. You got two things. You got two options: lose weight, or you're gonna die," and all this other stuff. And sarcastically, I said to him, like, Doc, screw you, screw all that stuff you talking about. I'm gonna run a marathon. And he laughs at me and has the biggest belly laugh in his life. Like the biggest belly laugh, like I really told a joke. and I was serious. Like, I'm gonna run a marathon. And um, he told me that was the most stupidest thing he ever heard of all of his years practicing medicine.
Just
So
slap in the face.
furious, yes, just the biggest slap in the face. So furious, I storm out the doctor's office, and on my way driving home, I drive past this running shoe store, and I made a U-turn. I went into the running shoe store, and I said, I need running shoes, and I need them now. And that became like the journey of like what you see now, the 300 pounds of running, the leader of the Slow AF Run Club, which also has an app on iOS and Android, and different partnerships such as like Run Local, as well as to the bigger brands like such as Adidas.
Hmm. That little thing, that
Wow.
little German cornerstone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard of Adidas. I hadn't heard of your app. Forgive me.
Yeah,
I'm coming into my own here.
yeah.
So I downloaded the app, and one thing that I noticed in kind of checking it out is that you've got thousands of people that are engaged with this community. So this
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
this isn't just about you anymore, right? This is
No.
like this is much bigger, which is awesome, which is great. So tell us a little bit about the community that you're involved with and how this all kind of came to be.
So the Slow AF Run Club came about just as something as a joke. Like, I remember talking to friends and one of my running buddies who's like, BQ and just always Boston qualified. He's like, yeah, I get you guys, like I get you Martinez, but you guys are Slow AF. Like, I can't wait for you guys. Like,
That's
we
where
we
it
can
came from.
start at the beginning. Like, I'll meet you at the bar, but you guys are just Slow AF. Um, and me being like, you know what, we are Slow AF, and
Yeah.
I'm happy to be there. And that became like a running joke to me, putting it on T-shirts, to people buying T-shirts. I've sold over 2,000 Slow AF T-shirts, to me being like, you know what? I want a running club, I want a community, and I want something bigger than just a typical Facebook group. Like, everybody has Facebook groups, and I feel
Mm.
like that's a no. Like, it's one of those things. It becomes like this big noise because everybody has a running club or a running group on Facebook. So I wanted something different. Truthfully, I wanted my own Facebook for my slow runners, that also had an app that we can also interact with other slow runners in the area, with hopes to like creating our own race series, as well as just going out and running races together, um, and more or less to provide a directory of slower runners, so slower runners can get together. We can talk about the things that matters most to us, as well as provide support, education, and motivation.
That's so cool. And what resonates with me so much about that is our whole mission at Run Local, which is one of making people move and changing local communities. And I think for so long, the running community was that guy saying, "Oh, you're slow AF," like, and no one taking that and being like, "You know what? Yeah, we are, and but we're
Mhm.
still running." And
Right.
people have like kept it. It's been exclusionary. And if we're gonna inspire people to move, it's got to be inclusive. It's got to be everybody, or at least give the opportunity to everybody. And that's um, different socioeconomics, different people of color, men, women, people from everywhere having the opportunity to do that. And I think Slow AF and you personally have been a fire starter for that thing. And I don't know
Thank
if
you.
you're seeing that beyond just the weight thing, beyond size.
Yes, absolutely. It's been even talking about weight, right? Like, it's been maybe about maybe 3 to 4 years, since I've been doing this since 2012, that I really not focused on weight, and focused
Yep.
primarily on physical activity. So a lot of
Mhm.
people don't know this, but my background is in exercise field. So I have a bachelor's degree in exercise physiology. Was a strength and conditioning coach for high school. I worked at a cardiac rehab facility, and then I have a master's in health promotion, which is also a subset of public health. So I did a lot of working at clinical research centers, focused on weight loss and social media, and how those two can, be great. And something in my life changed. So in 2014, I had two bad car accidents in the same year,
Mm.
total both cars, and sad, depressed. And the only thing that I really wanted to do during that time, after I gained all that weight back, was I wanted to run,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to do anything else. And I just remember telling myself like I wasn't as happier like with loss, losing 100 pounds than I was not running.
Yep.
And if I had to choose something of like losing, like, would you rather lose 100 pounds or run 5 marathons in a year? I'm constantly picking running 5 marathons in a year than
Yeah, the
losing 100 pounds.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It feels like.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean,
Um,
that's so. Carry on.
so it was more or less that experience. Well, when I was like, if I'm able to ever be able to run again, I'm just going to focus on running and
Hmm.
the joy that running brings. The fact that I just want to promote physical activity to people and let people know that my physical activity is running. It's 5 marathons a year or whatever it may be, and yours might be different, but it can be done.
Right.
And with the Slow F Run Club, that was one of the things I just wanted to make sure that I got that point across, is that I'm trying to lower the barrier of running, lower the barrier of intimidation of people hearing these common things. Well, my husband or my wife told me I need to lose 30 pounds before I start running because it's going to be bad
Right.
for my knees, or all these other things. I don't have this runner's body, so it's really of like using me as an example. Say I'm 300 plus pounds, I run marathons. You can do somewhat similar. It's going to look different, but let's get going. And you don't have to wait until you are what you think you need to be in your head to get it going.
That's so cool. I can see the smile on Josh and my face. We're doing this video as well, that will hopefully appear on the YouTubes. But Josh and I are starting to smile at the same time because I think we both are engaged at that point of like, it's okay for everybody. It's what gets us like so fired up about running.
Mhm.
Josh, I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
you got to follow up.
No, I think it's exactly right. I think one of the things that I've learned over many years is that it's a larger ecosystem that that is necessary to have these events really be great. And the thing that kind of ties it all together is not just the event itself, but it's the joy of knowing that 26.2 is 26.2 for everybody. Like it
Right.
doesn't matter. It's still the same distance, and you can all relate to that. It's like food and music, right? Like people relate to those things. They relate
Yeah.
to exercise and sports in the same way. And the unique thing about getting out there and doing these events and training for that it is a lifetime, and it's an event and sport, and it's accessible to everyone. It's not
Yeah.
like baseball or cricket or football or soccer or something like that where you need a lot of structure that's involved with that. You just lace them up and walk out the door. Now, to be fair, that's probably the hardest thing of the whole process, right? Like, absolutely, you're just having like a little moment to yourself when it's like a little drizzly outside. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think the question is, with all that kind of process that we all share and that all we experience, I know that you probably spend a lot of time talking to folks and helping them stay motivated, right? In addition to just the community. I mean, how do you talk them through the ups and downs, the ins and outs of the process, when it's going well, and then the times when it's not going as perfectly as we'd want it to be.
I think that's one of the things that's a great thing that we're having conversations with what's inside of the Run Club right now. Is this whole thing of this whole notion of staying ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah,
Eventually, COVID-19 shall pass, just like everything else bad in the world. It shall pass. And I even think about for myself, Boston Marathon. I got into Boston Marathon, was invited to run, and excited to run it, and that get postponed. And knowing that even though it got postponed and it's 2 weeks before Berlin Marathon, I still need to stay ready. So this is
Mhm.
opportunity for me to stay ready. So I have to get ready. It's like one of those old adages that my uncle used to say, like, Martinus, boy, you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And it's one of those things of like, we have to stay ready. Like life
I
doesn't
like it.
change, and I think for a lot of people, it's getting them to realize that they too are an athlete, even though they might not be Meb or Shalane Flanagan, but they are an athlete in their own right. Like if you're training for a
Hmm.
marathon or you're training for a race, like you need to. There's still things you need to do. You need to train. Like running is a part of that, and getting people to accept that athlete mindset of I'm an athlete. I need to do what athlete does, even in this time of need.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's interesting to me right now. I was thinking about it today, just something very similar to that, in that yes, there's the training for life thing. I think that's been passing around on the internet. It's like, what are you doing this for? It's like, I'm training for life. Like, I'm ready just to be ready for anything.
Oh,
But then I was also thinking about,
for the games.
that's what you've always said. I'm training for the games. And I was like, the senior games, Josh, because
I'm aging out.
no, for real though, I was thinking about the life lessons that I've learned. So this morning I ran a trail. There's a 12-mile loop that I've done. I used to use in college, so 20 years ago, and it all started like coming back to me, like on each turn of the trail, of how hard we were training and how this was just a small part of getting ready for, maybe it was Olympic trials or some marathon or some cross country season, but how impactful it was for me in my daily life since then. Like that getting up and getting shit done and taking care of business, that that passion, like that excitement has gotten me ready for life. So it's, I love when you're saying like we gotta get ready so we can be ready. And me getting ready 20 years ago was getting ready for the rest of my life. And I think as a coach, because now you're coaching a lot of people,
Mhm.
do you bring in that heaviness of like, this is about everything, or do you keep it simple and be like, we're running just to run? Because I could see that almost being too heavy to people, to being like, oh, I'm training and it's going to change my entire life.
It,
Or do you
it,
just
it,
be like,
it,
you're training for the experience?
it varies person to person, but I think for a larger scale of people is that it's hard for people to be like, I had this goal for a race, and this race is not here, so I don't have the motivation for that goal.
Hmm.
And then trying to like flip that switch to say, okay, you might not have the motivation for that goal, but there still are other races that you can train for. And then the other thing, the great part of this is that if you train now, you'll have that you'll have a better stamina. You can have, that mileage that you may be struggling with. Something you don't have to ramp up as harder and as fast as a typical like 16-week, 18-week, 20-week training plan. Whereas now you can take it in bite-sized chunks and it won't be as rough and still get to where you want to go.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I've backed off personally. There was like some huge blocks that I was doing since December with the thought of the same thing like you, like a spring marathon was, hey, let's circle something, let's go, let's
Yeah.
strive while we're not broken. But now it's one of those things where you kind of go, well, I could focus on. I mean, I still need some convincing core work, for example, or some hip flexibility, whatever it is. There's a bit more time, there's a bit more distraction. Maybe these are some of the times to shore up some of the things that's going to help
Hmm.
you out. And just to echo what you were saying earlier, something that I thought was really interesting is it was your uncle, right? That said that to you,
Yes.
and I was like word for word. Pat Tyson, who was the coach of Meade High School up in
Mm.
Washington, one of the great high school cross country programs of all time, was roommates with Steve Prefontaine. And he and my very first college coach, Dwayne Hartman, used to say the same thing, which was you need about 6 weeks, full stop, of running to be ready to start to get into shape. Like you need
Yeah.
at least a block of time before your body's even ready to start trying to get into shape, like just some
Right.
stabilizing things. So regardless of where you are, I think your uncle was spot on. It's like,
Right.
let's prepare yourself so when it really matters, you're ready to go. Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Yeah,
That's
we're
t-shirt.
chopping wood right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, we're chopping wood. We're getting ready for a fire. We're just building a big old fire. We're gonna start putting her around, and then we're just gonna, when this thing pops off, when they let us go outside and start doing events, I'm gonna light the whole thing up. It's gonna be a big ass bonfire. Soul Focus going crazy. Run local events gonna be going nuts. Also, what's
Oh,
probably talking is this local beer that I just got from I can't even remember. That's how excited I am. Great, great stuff.
how excited you are. Or did you just transition from beer to glass right there? Or you got the
Yeah.
same beer glass, you're doubling down?
No, I'll see if
Oh,
the mic can pick that up. It's a nice mic. Hopefully I didn't
yeah,
spill on the mic. I'd like
you're good.
to transition a little bit. I want to pivot a little bit because I want to find out how you go from being a Run Local ambassador, kind of cool, slow AF, very cool, and now you're an Adidas like athlete, hanging out with Noah Lyles, the fastest man in the world. You're on
Oh,
a global campaign on billboards. You and I are in Germany at the same time, and I'm there just doing some site visits. You're like, oh yeah, I'm actually filming some crazy shit. And I'm like, what? We just talked like 6 months ago and this was not happening. But I think to do that, can you walk us through the Berlin Marathon 2019?
Yeah, I love that. I was curious about that too. You just like mentioned that off to the side, like, it's no big thing, like Berlin 2019. But yeah, I want to
Yeah.
hear that story as well.
um,
Do
Berlin.
you mind?
Yes, let's go for it. So Berlin 2019 is a race that I got into from the lottery, and 2019 was already a crazy year. I ran not Big Sur Marathon. I got a DNF at mile 21.
Mm.
Ran Detroit
Hurricane Point or something
Marathon.
like that.
Yes, which is already a tough race in its own. I
I think
ran
it's
my
up
first
there.
what else I ran? I ran my first Tough Mudder to train for Big Sur. So it was just a hell of a year, and then spent 126 days training for Berlin Marathon. I know they had like the specific time limit and everything. So get there, Berlin Marathon. The day just felt eerie, and the reason I said that is I stayed maybe three-quarters of a mile away from the start line, and I ran there. And as I'm running this three-quarters of a mile, like I'm just sweating like profusely. Just crazy. I'm like, what is going on? It's just humid, 100% humidity outside. Get to the start line. I'm trying to calm myself down, cool down. Starts the race, and it rains. Sky open up, and it just rains for at least 3 hours. So after it rains, it gets cold. The wind start blowing. I'm still out there. So about 5.5 hours passed. They start packing up just like any other race. And I just remember talking to some of the volunteers, some of the people who was in the SAG vehicle, just to say, hey, like I'm okay. Like I got my 3 liter backpack that I carry with me to most races. Like I got water, but are you gonna let me finish the race? And everybody was like, yeah, like you'll be able to finish the race. So continue running. It's cold, it's hot. I'm changing clothes while running because like I'm soaked. Shoes are making noise from like all the waters, that squishy noise, like when you just get your shoes wet.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
every step for the last 6 miles was a squish, 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 squish. Um, and get 200 meters away from the start line, go like running past the Brandenburg gate, and it's
Mm-hmm.
barricaded. I can literally see the finish line. They had just turned off the lights of the numbers of the lights of the finish line,
The
and I
clock.
just remember,
That whole
yeah, the
thing goes
clock.
off.
And I just remember having like this intense conversation slash argument with this guy at the barricade, like, hey, like I'm still a runner, showing him my bib, like
Yeah.
I need to get to the finish line. And he was like, no, no, race is over, like no more. And it's like, but no, I'm still running. Like, look at me, like look at this bib. And he's like, no more, no more. And I end up having to go through the exit of like Finishers Village, try to figure out where the finish line is at, where do I get a medal, and like when I got there, which was like another additional mile. So you ran 26, you see the point two, can't get there, have to run another mile just to get to the finish line to get like to get my medal and other stuff that I had packed up, and like everybody be gone. And it was like one of those devastating things for me to
Mm.
get there,
Wow.
try to find this finish line, can't find it. When I get there, everybody's gone, and like not have a medal. And then, I end up filming all of this on Instagram. And as I'm
Yeah.
filming this, like somebody say, "Oh, you ran the race?" And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you want a medal? And I said, yeah. So he gives me this medal, and I look at it, and it's an inline skating medal.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
The day
just
before,
anything. Yeah, let's give him anything.
right?
So it was like this inline skating medal. And then as I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm just trying to figure out like my thoughts of A, feeling like I'm delusional because I just ran this whole marathon. B, like I have no support. And C, like I have this medal of like inline skating. And eventually like somebody gives me a medal, like a kid. I like had a box of medals, and he's like, hey, here's one. But it was one of those things that really like was disheartening to me, and really changed the way how I thought about running and whether or not I just wanted to quit running right then and there, truthfully.
Mm.
Because it was a experience. Like, think about it. Like, a year before this race is even started, you apply to the lottery and then you train for this race and then you get there and the weather doesn't work in your way and you already got the odds stacked up against you because I'm a slower runner, so I'm in the back and like the weather is humid, the skies open up, it rains, it's cold and everything else, and like to like run 6 miles in like soaking wet shoes and to get there and not get the thing that you was hoping and wishing for,
Yeah.
um,
Mm.
was really distraught. Like it was really one of those things that it hurted, and it really took me to uh, the flight back home to really just think about this and be like, you know what, like it's okay. Like this sucked. Like I know it sucked, but it's gonna be okay. Like I got another race. Like had rock and roll. I think it was rock and roll San Francisco. No, rock and roll San Jose the following
Hmm.
weekend. And that following weekend, I'm still nervous. I still felt like a way, but me being like, I have to move forward because I still have these other races, and I can like really think about running like after this year's up. And the way rock and roll does is like you had the 5K before the day before, got there, PR'd my 5K, and then ran the half marathon, and then PR'd my 10K and half marathon time
Oh, and the same
Yeah.
day.
in the same
Oh,
day.
like
Yeah,
and right.
en
Yes.
route.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
There
how
you
you
go.
get back on the horse. You're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
F you. You know what? I need
Yeah.
good weather. Bring it back to the West Coast, and I'll just show you how you do it.
Yeah, I think you're
Well,
under. I think you're actually underselling that experience because you at the Brandenburg Gate, you can see theoretically where the finish line is.
Yes.
Like it's right there in the park that you're talking about. So if you're coming through the gate, you just turn to the right, and you
Yeah.
had to go around that finisher village.
Yes.
That that is huge. That's
Yes.
huge. It's at least a mile for
Yeah.
sure. You're probably underselling that for sure. Man, that
you
is
ran an ultra.
yeah. Doubling down on
That was
that.
a 50K. The
Yeah.
Berlin 50K. You're the new record holder of the Berlin 50K. We are. And we're happy to announce him here on the Run Local podcast, the Berlin record, the Berlin 50K. But there was something that happened, and I'd love to know like what have you learned since? Because I feel like something exploded, maybe where you could have gone the other way. You could have said "f you" to running and walked
Mhm.
the other way, and it would have been I think, a reasonable response. Like, running's not taking care of me. Why would I go back and take care of it? But you've done something almost different. What changed in you in those weeks? And then maybe it's after San Jose Rock and Roll.
Um, I really think it had to do with San Jose Rock and Roll as well as like the other races that I had right afterwards. So, after San Jose Rock and Roll, I think I had Detroit Marathon. I had um New York City, and I think I maybe even had another race that was on tap. Oh yeah, Route 66. I had a Route 66
Hmm.
on tap as
Oh
well.
wow. Okay.
So like I had all these other marathons. I had my run coach also in my ear to say like, "Yo, like you train, like you got this, you can do this," and just a lot of just self talk with me, and
Mm.
just trying to make sure that I like put in like positive affirmation to say, even though this even though this DNF hurt it, and it was crazy because like I had a DNF with Big Sur, and the
Right.
thing was, and the two different things is that it was the expectations
Yeah.
with Big Sur. They strict 6 hour cutoff, like no ifs, ands, and buts about it. We will pick your ass up off this damn
I know that
course
van. I've seen that
and
van.
put you in that van, period, point blank. And to have a different experience in Berlin where it's like, oh, like, oh, okay, no, no, you're good, like just
It'll be
just
fine.
continue
It'll be
running and you'll
fine.
be fine.
Yeah.
It's like almost just being blown off. And those experiences, and with rock and roll in San Jose, and like me PRing like those races really just put a different view of life when it comes to running.
Hmm.
To always say that there's always going to be another race. Period. Point blank. And it might be
Mm.
just oversimplifying, but it really comes down to that. Like I had a bad race, but guess what? I can go sign up for that same distance the following weekend and know I'm already trained and
Yeah.
Right.
do like 10 times better.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that goes beyond life. And that's maybe where I was going
Mm,
15 minutes ago when I was like, when you open up, running creates that chasm or creates that opportunity to see that like there's another race, there's
yeah,
another job, there's another opportunity, there's another chance to pitch
yeah.
some kind of project. Like there is another, if you can gather yourself up, pick your ass up off the ground, find out what you want to do better next time. Like that's what running's taught me. And I feel
Yes.
like it did something to you where you get knocked down and you lift you back up, and now we become even more powerful.
And then the other thing, it just really came down to this, like who is, what is Berlin Marathon? Like in the scheme of life, you know, yes, of course that, I DNF, but in the scheme of life, like this is gonna be a blip, and there's gonna be one of those stories that I tell people as a motivational thing, like yeah, I DNF, like it hurt, it hurt like hell, like it was bad, but like who are they to like make me change running, like to make me like just give it up right then
Yep.
and there. When, years before, having these car accidents and like, lost weight, gained it all back and some, and like, but only thing I wanted to do was run. Like, so, like, who are they in the scheme of that? Like, so you saying I'm just gonna give up running because of like a DNF because I didn't get a medal? Like, I know I can run to 26.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it comes. I know I can run 26. Like I've been training for this for years. So
Hmm.
like who are they?
Yeah.
And it really just go down to that to be like, if it goes down, it's the simple fact of like even from slow AF. If I can get people to realize themselves as athletes, anything else, and like realize they are athlete and they should treat themselves as that and like move in that way, then everything else will be all right. Like you'll get to the distance. And that's what it came
Hmm.
to me, is just being like, well, I'm an athlete, and I think about everybody else, athletes that had like shitty experiences. I think of like Mayweather at the
Yep.
Olympics. I think about not even just athlete. I think about Beyonce at Star Search. Like they got beat to Skeleton Crew. We don't even know who the hell Skeleton Crew is anymore, right? Like
Who?
it's these it's these adversities in life, in these situations, that make us step up to the next level. And I feel like it's sometimes like we need those adversities, like we
Yep.
need those setbacks and these stumbling blocks to help us realize like, oh, like this is not gonna happen anymore, like this is not happening again,
Yeah.
period. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
show you why. And
Yeah.
and that's what it really is. And it takes a different type of person to realize that. And I think the best way to really realize that is to realize that you're an athlete and it's your job to do this. Like if Michael Jordan had a bad day, or like the I'm using air quotes here, like Michael Jordan's flu game, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Love that clip.
right. Um, if Michael just like, oh, I just got the flu, I'm gonna sit on out, like whatever.
Right.
Um, that doesn't mean that we can't go back out there the next day and do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to just really think like, yo, is it really that serious?
Yeah.
Like when it's all said and done, like we just running races.
Yeah. And that's kind of the beauty. And I brought this up in the intro, and I don't think we were recording yet, but our last podcast guest was Stephanie Bruce. And there, if you look on paper, or you put the two of you next to each other, the people are like, well, they don't have anything in common. And then I'd be like, well, they're both runners. And let me tell you something about them. They both have had roadblocks in front of them every single week, every single month, year after year for the past, whatever, decades. Steph lost her father early on. She's gone through two kids. She's still fighting to try to make an Olympic team here and there. And yet she comes from such a different place. But I think runners can relate.
Mm.
Like you could relate to that and be like, she's still putting one foot in front of the other, getting up every day and trying to do it. You're still putting one foot in front of the other, and you're both inspiring people to like do more and go more.
Yeah.
And for me, I love to see I don't know, Josh, you were on that
Well,
interview.
no,
I can see him now.
I think that's right. I think this is one of the things that's so interesting to me is we talk a lot about the stories that let's talk about at the professional level, right? Like humanizing the individuals in some way, shape, or form. You take Christian Coleman, who I'm sure has had his set of obstacles in his way, and he's the 100-meter world champion in Doha in 2019. and then you've got Noah Lyles on the other side. And I'm sure,
Good transition.
and I think they both probably have wonderful stories of roadblocks and challenges and setbacks, both in training and in life and all that stuff. But the reason why you're gravitating more, or at least I am, I don't know about y'all, but Noah Lyles, to me, I go, yeah, for sure, because he clearly enjoys it, and he
Yep, loves
clearly
it.
recognizes that this is a chance for him to perform and engage and just realize that, hey man, it's just running first of all, but it's a celebration for him. And I know that you've got a connection with Noah that I think we would love to hear personally, because I think the guy's fantastic. And I just, even if he finished last, I just love just the vibrancy that he brings to a sport. You're like
Dancing.
a swagger, right? Yeah, exactly. Do you mind diving into that a little bit? Tell us some of the stories you have with Noah.
Yeah, Mr. Adidas.
I mean, I don't want to name drop, but I don't know. It's gonna come down.
You know what's interesting about that? I haven't really met Noah in person yet, which
Oh,
is
it's all
very
they're editing
interesting.
it like your best friends in the global commercial that you're on. Both doing workouts together.
Yo, it's very interesting, like the way the magics of editing works out. But even that whole that whole Adidas thing, right? They reached out to me just to say, hey, Martinez, like we see what you're doing, and we have this idea, we want to make sure, we want to see that you're interested, and um and things of that sort, and Noah Lyles is going to be a part of it, and I'm like like world breaker, like fastest man Noah
Yeah.
Lyles. I'm like, oh yeah, 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 and I was like, oh okay,
You can squeeze that
and
in the schedule.
yeah, like can I fit that in?
Let me
Like,
see what's run local when it got going on that weekend.
I let him out
um,
of his contract
you know,
for a little bit.
it was an interesting campaign though, because it was multiple. I would say it was international in a great sense, because they had shoots in LA. I shot in Portugal. The two other ladies that was a part of the campaign also shot in Portugal, and it was just interesting to meet some of these people as well as not meet some of these people and see there was a part of the campaign as well, and to just reach out to them was like, oh, like you was there, like, oh man, I wish we would have met. But also be able to like form these relationships now with them, even for like Noah or the Ellie or the
Hmm.
other young lady like Shanae, and just have this great relationship and have this bond afterwards to be like, we've created something, or we was part of something that is creating a different light when it comes to running, just to show like the fastest man in the world to like one of the slowest guys in the back of the pack.
Hmm.
Yeah. And JT, I think that's what you're all about with Run Local, which is, I think, is a really fantastic point. Like, everybody has that experience and that shared experience, and you're a part of something now. You're all, either you're a finisher or you're a starter or you're individual training for something. Like, it's a shared sense of community, and I thought that's some of the stuff that I hear from Run Local. That's super cool.
Yeah.
So if you were, when you do meet Noah, and y'all hang out for a bit, is that you gonna go for a run? You going for a beer? What's the
Maybe
plan?
some strides, a little track work.
A little track work, little
Yeah,
strides, you know what I'm saying?
Give him a few
Um
tips. Gotta see how you.
knee drive, man. You gotta get knee drive.
I need you out of the blocks, Noah. We're talking about the gold bombers. We need gold bombers around your neck. 20 Tokyo 2021. Tokyo 2021. Hashtag it here. I want you in his ear until then. Um, I think I'm to a point where I want to know what's next
Oh
for
yeah.
300 pounds of running. What are you looking towards? Because you're always scheming. You and I have talked for, I don't know, when was that time we met up for that coffee? Since then, I feel like
it's it's
you've
been
you
about two
ran right
years.
past you ran right past me. I felt like I was trying to help you, and now I'm asking you, what do I do? Like, what? How do I blow up? How do I do a good podcast? How do I get a community going? You just went right. You're lapping me. in terms of, of social and digital. But I'd love to know what you're doing next.
I think the next thing that I'm really focused on, or the thing that I'm most excited about is, at the beginning of this year, I launched the mobile application for the Slow Yet Run Club. So before that, it was just strictly a website. But now, the fact that it's mobile on Android, iOS, and iPad, and just letting people know that it's something, it's bigger than just, a running club. Like it's a Facebook for running for slow runners, right?
Nice.
And it's our own closed system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the greatest part, just to be able to show people that, you know, like I am the alpha and omega when it comes to this. Like I'm the guy who's like moderating, and like when people was like, hey, or like reporting to somebody, like I see those. So I think
Yep.
that's one thing. The fact that it has grown over 2,000 members in a short period of time, within like 3 months, is amazing. I look forward to growing that to hundreds of thousands of slow
Mm-hmm.
runners around the world,
Yeah.
and creating,
Keep bringing
you
them
know,
into the sport. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
continue to bring
I
people
love it's like
in.
there's no fake news in that, you know? It's all
Yeah,
verified content. Like I love it.
exactly. Um, as well as like training more individuals and running these races. So, with my partnership with Adidas, I'm able to, get invited to run Boston, if Boston happens this year, and be able to have the ear of the board, and be able to share some of the things that the back of the pack is looking for, as well as like larger runners, as well as like being a male and being a runner, right? It's an interesting time in the world where a lot of the larger sportswear brands are focusing on women, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
great thing with. It's a great thing with that because the women has been through a lot of things, but also being able to tell these brands like it should be a yes and instead of a yes but. Like yes, you
Mm.
are supporting the women, and I great that, and I appreciate that because women need it, and plus side men need support as well, and
Yeah.
making sure it's sports specific, right? So you know you may have 3x I mean 3x basketball shorts, but who wants to run in long basketball shorts? So making
Right.
sure they are
Oh, we got a little bit of a
We got a
lag.
little bit
not
frozen.
just women.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like
Yeah, we're back.
there we go. Now we're back on. I think
We
that was
actually
we're
shoot for
back.
imperfection, and this podcast was going way too good until just now, which is perfect. We got a little frozone.
we're gonna
Uh,
have JP transition into his high school days of running in basketball shorts and and
and
uh, in,
boxers.
in boxers. Great decisions on both hands.
Gosh, that's
and,
so
and
cool.
and I think that's the thing, right? Is being able to be this global ambassador for running, just to show people that it can be done, and it's going to be hard, but it can be done. And if anything, looking towards me to be one of those thought leaders when it comes to running, to consult with other race directors, um, as well as like just world domination when it comes to running.
Heck yeah.
There you
I'm
go.
all for that. So
There
I
you go.
think you're in a really interesting place right now. Um, with I don't know if you guys are noticing it, but more people are just out there running right now. There's nothing else you can do. You can't go to the gym. You're not going to Orange Theory. You're not doing CrossFit. Like I
Right.
think you are can be like the
Yeah,
voice of these people who are just putting their foot out on the pavement for the first time. And
dude,
I would just encourage you to light that fire and just let it rip.
and it's crazy because people see each other from the other side of the street and they're just like, "Hey, what's up, man?"
Tons of what's up.
I've
I've never
never
seen
seen
you run.
that before.
Not
Yeah,
to
yeah.
mention you're running in weird soccer shoes. You should probably figure that out. Like you're
um,
running in like what do you think? I mean, I think you're poised. You're like in a great spot to make this okay for everyone to get out and move during
yeah,
Corona time.
and that's really what I want. My naysayers and my biggest critics say that I'm promoting obesity and things of that sort.
Mm,
And the true thing is that I'm promoting physical activity. Period. Point blank. I just want people to get active, like,
yeah.
and be active, and it doesn't have to be under the guise of losing weight. Like physical activity is so much healthier to you. It's so much more than just like weight loss. When you think about the psychological benefits, being heart
Mm,
healthy, there's so many other benefits with just moving than just weight loss. And I want to be able to share that with other individuals to know that like movement is good for you.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I think that's
That's the
absolutely
message.
spot on. Yeah.
Yep.
So has everybody gone for a run today?
Yeah, I got a great one in. I had like a spiritual experience. I was already trying to tell you guys. I did that 12-mile loop. How about you, Martinez? You moved
I'm
today?
actually getting on my road bike today.
Oh wow! All right, there you go.
Boom.
I
Flip
still got to
flop.
I still got to get mine in at some point today.
You're
Yeah,
running?
yeah, it's good motivation though. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah,
No, I think we'd be tone deaf if we weren't acknowledging, like we're in a serious time right now, but people are moving their bodies and they're getting out and more people are doing it. And I hope it's revelatory for really just the human race to be like, yeah, we have this opportunity to go walk, to hike, to
yeah,
run, regardless of body type. This is what's available to us at all times.
yeah, yeah.
And
I got blasted going up a hill yesterday by some woman who was just crushing it, and she smoked by me. I didn't even see her, right? Because she's on
yeah,
the other side of the street. And then I'd look up and she's cranking by me. And it's a pretty long hill. It's maybe like a half mile, three-quarters of a mile in
yeah,
total. Not super steep, but I'm like, wow, she is crushing it. And she gets to the top, and kind of like waits for me to get to the top and go, hey, nice work, right? I've never seen like, yeah, yeah, you too, man. And it was just
you
that
too.
sense of like, it doesn't matter because the hill was the hill was the challenge. It wasn't
Yeah,
it wasn't anybody else, right?
and you
And when
lost.
yeah, when you get to the top, it's nice to be able to celebrate that with other people as well.
It
So
is. Well, we can't high five. You can. I can't even really elbow anymore.
no,
No
no,
Some
emoji.
virtual. What's up? Good job.
yeah,
Love that. Oh
yeah,
man.
did it. Way to do it.
Well, yeah. Before we pop off here, Martinez, I want to give you an opportunity to tell everyone where they can find you, where they can follow, where they can join Slow AF.
Alrighty. For Slow AF, you can find that at the Slow AF Run Club in your Apple phones, in your Android phones. If you go to the App Store and just type in Slow AF, you'll find me.
Yeah,
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at 300 pounds and running. That's 300 spell out pounds and running, as well as Run Slow AF on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Mm, nailed it.
there it
Um,
is.
there it is. Episode 3 in the books.
Yeah,
I think we
this
did it
would
again
be,
here, Josh.
it is absolute magic. It is the best one we've done this weekend. Absolutely, for sure. Top two it today.
Oh my gosh, it's
But
by far the
JT,
best
there
podcast
is
we've
one
had. By
thing
far the
I
best
do.
guest.
There is one thing I do want to mention because like Run Local holds it down, right? And it holds it down for the back of the pack, and it's
Thank
a
you,
great
man.
thing to be a part of that and to support and to verify with other slow runners. Be like, yo, I've done it. I know JT, and like you'll be supported.
Yeah,
And it's a great thing for people like, oh, okay, like yeah, I'll give this race a shot.
that's cool. Anyway, we do. And to be honest, I think it took some like a psychological flip in my brain, a switch in my brain to turn it away from Olympic trials, performance, performance, performance to like this is bigger. This is bigger than you. This is bigger than fast. This is making sure that Josh is on the mic until every single runner has crossed the line. Like every runner counts. And Josh,
No, it's
you
more
bring them
fun.
home.
It's more fun than
Yeah.
watching you at the trials, JT. I'll tell you that 100%. People are
Well, that
happy.
was that was painful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. People are
that's
happy.
fine.
Yeah, it's fun.
Uh,
It's good. That is we talk about this all the time. It's like that's where the celebration's at. That's where the party's at right there. Like, don't let those
yeah,
folks at the front know about the party too much. Like, we don't want to, we got a limit on that party. But it is
exactly.
fun. I love the attitude, man. I love it.
So Run Local events will come back. We will be back either this summer or this fall or whenever they let us come back. We're going to be welcoming all the runners across the finish line. Martinez, I know we're going to see you there. And I hope to see you at the start line. I'm more of a finish line guy actually at Boston Marathon for September 15th. So that'll be fun to see you out there. There's so much to look forward to. We just got to get through these months to keep America healthy and get the globe back on pace. And I'm excited about it. But you can find us at Run Local events on the Twitter, on the Instagram. This podcast will be coming out very soon. Check out our virtual workout. That's going to be Wednesday workouts. That's Run Local Workout Wednesdays. Some cool all types of cool stuff coming out. We still got stickers on the App Store. We got some stickers you can check out. Search Run Local. You can send those around to your friends. But Josh, I think we're good to go. I want to thank everyone for tuning in again.
Yeah, thanks. And just to clarify, that Wednesday that it kicks things off is on the 1st, right, JT?
April 1st. We're gonna do it all April, every Wednesday. This month.
Okay, great. Yeah, well, it was fantastic. What a great conversation. Definitely the highlight of the day, for sure. For sure.
I appreciate you both. Y'all have a good day.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, fellas.